Hey guys, today we're going to be setting up my December monthly pages in my new 2020 bullet journal. I decided to move December into my new journal because I've got a fair amount of traveling happening this month and over New Year's, and I didn't want to have to travel with my 2019 bullet journal and my 2020 bullet journal. It's a new year and a new decade, and I just wanted to kind of start January 1 in a fresh notebook. It just seemed a little bit simpler to go ahead and bump December into it. I usually go through about 2 bullet journals a year. I can get about 6 months in one of these Leuchtturms very comfortably. I figured I would just go ahead and set up. If you are curious about what my 2020 setup looks like, I do have a video for that on my channel, and I will link that down below in the description box. But when it comes to setting up my monthly, I keep these, again, pretty minimal. I don't do a whole lot of decorating. I don't do a cover page. I'm not very artistic, so it wouldn't be anything fancy anyway. And even when I used to just like print out pictures as a cover page, it wasn't something I ever ended up referencing, so I kind of just jumped directly into my 2-page spread. The other thing you will notice with my months is I set up Monday starts, because that's how I tend to live my life versus a Sunday start. And I only set up my months for full weeks. So even though December has 31 days, you will only see 28 days in my setup because I will lump those sort of overhang days into the previous month and into the next month. I find that easier for budgeting. It's easier for meal planning and seeing all my travel and everything like that. And it just makes things a little bit simpler in my mind. So that's how I do it. The first thing I do with my monthly spreads is I'm setting up my monthly calendar. I do 5 by 5 square days for my calendar, and that allows me to get Monday through Friday on the left-hand page of the spread, and then Saturday and Sunday end up on the right-hand page of the spread, and that works out pretty well for me because it gives me a nice like mental designator between my work week and my weekend. I also like having the same size space for every day. I did use my Tombow Dual Brush Pen in 553 to sort of create a bar at the top to write my days of the week against, and then I did basically like a little circle in the left-hand corner of each day, and then I numbered in the days of the month, and I kind of like how that looked. It was a really easy way to make it look nice, but not overly decorative, and the circles actually kind of remind me of Christmas ornaments, so to me that's low-key festive. I do a monthly goals list on the right-hand side of the page, and these are the bigger things that I want to get done in the month or the most important things that I need to get done this month. And then I'm filling out my events, appointments, travels, and birthday on the monthly spread. I don't put like specific tasks and things like that. It's really just more of anything that has a time associated with it or travel on the calendar. And if you saw my bullet journal video, then I mentioned that I love to pull in character stickers every now and then as a little bit of decoration without me actually having to do any sort of art. So I pulled in an emoti from TheCoffeeMonsterzCo wearing a reindeer onesie that I think is adorable. The last thing that I'm tracking on this spread is actually my monthly packages, just so I've got one place to reference them. The next spread that I'm going to set up is probably one of my favorites or the most functional that I do for myself, and I refer to this as my monthly pre-plan. This is an idea that I've sort of adapted from the Studyquill on YouTube and Instagram. I will link her channel and her Instagram in the description box below. She has really great functional spread ideas along with some really cute decorative spreads, and I absolutely love her stuff, so you should definitely check her out. But what I'm setting up is a column per week. So I'm splitting the page in half, which is 13 squares in, and then from there each column gets split up into 3 sections. The top sections is 3 rows, and that is where I basically will start pre-planning what meals I want to make for the week. I do a lot of meal prepping, so I will just write down 2 different meal ideas. It streamlines the process when it comes to creating my grocery list, and I can kind of just like, I've got something on paper, I can pull out those recipes, check the cupboard, and write it down. And I find if I try and do more than 2 different meals a week, I kind of get overwhelmed and I won't stick to it, and I have food that'll end up going bad. So it's just a good starting point for me. The middle section is where I put events and tasks, or like really important specific things, or like basically anything I put on my monthly calendar gets rewritten into this section just in a vertical layout. So this is 2 rows per day, Monday through Sunday, and I use that open circle to denote that I've got an event or an appointment. And then if it was a holiday, I'll just kind of write it in cursive usually and highlight it. You'll see me do that later with Christmas. And if I'm traveling, I will do the open circle for the event for my flight and then just draw an arrow straight down for how long that trip goes. Then in the bottom, this is where I start pre-planning my tasks and why I absolutely love the spread. I have the kind of brain where even though it's the first week of December and I know I'm not going to budget for January until the last week of December, I need to write that down the first week of December, or I will just constantly think about it like, oh, I've got to do this. Oh, I've got to do this. So being able to put this in a specific spot and say, hey, week 52, I'm going to budget for January in 2020. It just allows me to kind of like let that idea go. No, I'm not going to forget about it. And it kind of calms me down. This is again, a kind of living spread. I refer to this at the beginning of every day almost. I'll go back in, I add events, I add appointments, I'll move things around. But I like seeing what's happening in my week versus my monthly goals and being able to break them down and fill them out there. So the next spreads that I'm doing are a couple different trackers. They're essentially like a line a day or like a daily log, but I number the 2nd through the 28th, 9th, because those are the days that fit in December with the way I set up my monthly calendar. And basically I track my December prayer requests and a December gratitude, and I will just fill these out in the morning. Now we're moving on to my December habit trackers, and I'm trying something a little bit different. I'm using a stamp set that I got off Amazon. I will link this down below. I feel like this is a really popular way of doing habit trackers lately in the community, so I wanted to give it a go, and it was a pretty reasonable price. I think it was like $6. In lieu of using an ink pad, I just pulled out a darker Tombow Dual Brush Pen, and I'm coloring in the days, and then I'm going to stamp that directly into my bullet journal. I don't remember the number of this one specifically. It's darker than the 553, so I'll have to look that up, and then I'll put that in the description box in case you're curious. I don't know if I will do this again for a monthly spread. It was fun to try something a little bit different, and I didn't have to write the numbers out, but honestly, I think it took me just about as long to color the stamp, go in and stamp and do this than to like write the numbers out. And this is like really like wide rectangular view of the month, and for some reason I don't absolutely love that. But the stamps did work really great, and they were really good quality, and you get lots of options with them. So if you're curious, I will have those below, like I said earlier. But I am tracking a few different things this month. I try and track maybe the same 9 to 12 things consistently from month to month. And for me right now, that is taking my temperature, my daily workout, my skincare routines, my calories in versus calories out, a no planner spend, vacuuming the house daily, reading daily, filling out my 5-year journal. And the very top row, I kind of failed to plan out my spacing. So I just used like a cursive to make them look like they were special habits that I was tracking. And that I'm tracking my 1 hour on Instagram and then trying to get into the habit of taking a picture of day, because I think next year I'm going to do some form of digital project life. When I fill out that habit tracker, I'm just using a check mark to indicate that I've done the habit, or I'm doing just like a dot to indicate that I haven't done the habit. And the reason I do that is I don't like to leave a day blank, because in my mind that means, oh, I forgot to track, versus acknowledging that I didn't get it done. So next 2-page spread is basically what I consider to be my financial pages. On the left page, I created a header for personal and then a header for Christmas. The personal is just me tracking sort of like my fun money. So this is nothing like rent or shared expenses for the home or anything like that. It's honestly, it's mostly just what I end up spending on stickers or clothes for myself, just to make sure that I stay within the allotted budget. And then Christmas, we're tracking how much we spend on gifts between my husband and I for all of our friends and family members, so we can kind of stick within the budget. And then the next page is titled Debits and Credits, and this just has to do with how my husband and I have our financial set up. So we try and charge certain things to certain accounts, and if we use the wrong debit card or the wrong credit card, then I will sort of make a note of that so I can kind of adjust when we balance our finances at the end of the month. Next is my December inbox. It is essentially a brain dump page. I just don't like the word brain dump, so I use the word inbox. If you don't do a spread like this, I really recommend it. It just sort of gives you a nice opportunity to write down anything that comes to mind that doesn't necessarily have a place yet. So if you guys have any questions, let me know. And it's been just a joy to read your guys' comments and hear that you guys have been enjoying my videos. It's been a lot of fun doing this, and I appreciate you taking the time to listen to me, and I hope that you get something useful out of these videos, and I'll catch you guys next time.